Hello. When we're fighting evil, because there's evil in the world and we need to fight evil, and God put us here to help us so that we could stand against evil and help Him bring about goodness by fighting against evil. So when we're fighting against evil, does that mean that whatever we do is good as long as we do it for a good reason? Is all fair in love and war, and we're at war and we're fighting evil, and therefore because we're fighting evil, anything we do to defeat evil is therefore good? Now that is a tricky question, and it's one that oftentimes kind of slips into the church in interesting ways. Because as a church and as a church community, sometimes we can say, well, as long as the ends are good, and because what I am against is definitely evil, therefore my efforts against that evil are automatically good. Now what's interesting is when you are raising children, they oftentimes will have good motives and wrong actions. And we tell them things like, well, that doesn't make it right. But when it comes to us, oftentimes we're like, well, God is okay with my outcomes. And yes, maybe I could have done that better. But the ends justified mostly my means. And of course, we've been studying in the book of Romans on Sunday, and that's not what the Bible says. It says that when I use even the pursuit of right and wrong to justify myself, I can end up also being wrong. In other words, I can even fight for righteousness and end up being evil, even though I'm achieving good aims. The Apostle Paul, as he was Saul the Pharisee, was very familiar with this because he loved Yahweh, and in fighting for God, he was sometimes torturing or killing or imprisoning people whose only crime was the heresy of trusting in Jesus. And yet he thought he was doing the right thing, which was pro-Yahweh. But it hurt people. And God finally appeared to Paul and set him straight. And you see a very different man as he began to truly understand that the way of Jesus was you fight by dying. You fight by giving yourself up. As Jesus came, what does it mean for us to fight? Does it mean that we are going to run over people and defeat our enemies? The Bible says, do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. It doesn't say we fight fire with fire. It says that when we are attacked, we forgive. When we're cursed, we blessed. It says this is how we treat enemies, because we're not wrestling against other human enemies, even though that's how it can feel. But instead we are against the enemies of God who oppose God's love, grace, and mercy, among other things. And that's why it says in Romans that those who follow their own way end up becoming unloving, untrustworthy, and unmerciful. So as a community, let us make sure that part of, as we love one another, which Jesus said, this is how they'll know you belong to me, that you love each other, that we do not risk becoming unmerciful, unloving, untrustworthy, rude, and unkind when Jesus is kind and loving to sinners just like us.